Hey guys, I'm Christina, Koci Hernandez.
And I'm Richard Koci
Hey, it's
Hernandez.
so great to be with you guys, and we hope that we can give everybody a little bit of creativity in these crazy times. 2020 has been quite a year to keep our mental health in check and find any kind of creativity. So kudos to everybody who is still forging ahead, looking for growth. We feel you. We're doing it too. And thanks so much for looking at what we have to say.
All right. Well, thanks for watching. I wanted to start and take a few moments to first not try and sound like an angry old man looking back on photography and wishing things were different. Certainly I don't. And if you know me, you know that I love to embrace any new technologies and workflows. But as we talk about photography, there's something that I think it's very important to mention. And it's this concept that I tried to capture. And that this feeling that at its roots, photography is a physical sport. It's a contact sport. It has physicality and it has some magic to it. And I think that magic in, again, there's the printing, there's all these kind of chemicals and things in the dark room. But beyond that, and even now, which makes more sense today, is the print, right? Is to think about the power of a physical photograph, okay? And I'll play that one more time and maybe see if we can stop it somewhere before it goes black. And the point I'm trying to make here is that part of my creativity and my recent kind of finding new creative energy and sparks is coming back to an idea of bringing more physical things into my world in order to help facilitate creativity. And this is what I mean. So one, the idea of printing out in a very simple way your photographs. So let's be human first. Let's not be photographers. Photographers are human, I know that. But even this, right? Printing out all these pictures that you love and adore on Facebook, all these digital platforms, and posting them somewhere in your house. We have the best thing we ever did many years ago. You can see the stains there from the time. And this was just a recent a changing of the photographs, which is another fun physical family couple activity, right? To just pull down the old photos, go through photos and put new ones up, or gather our digital photos, pull them together, present them up and put them on a board. It's one of the most joyous things you can do. And I wanted to make sure I shared that with you and then show you how that translates into my creative world. This is a little corkboard in my office, and these is a raw printout. Digitally, or old school, we'd call this a proof sheet. Digitally, it's just the bunch of thumbnails in the order that they were shot. Why print these out? Why waste ink and paper and all these things? Because there is a secret to creativity that involves getting the ideas out of your head and out of the digital space and into the open and let them float around you so that you can connect those ideas. That's the key. My key to creativity, and the message that's most important for me to send here to you today is simply to get you to try this and see this works for you. I think there's some magic here, and the magic is very simple. Take your work. Not even your work, the work that inspires you. Get the things out of the digital world and into your hands, whatever way you can. I mean, this idea about this wall literally started on a note card, right? And here it is. And capture them. Find ways to capture them. I capture ideas on index cards. That's how I do it. And then I go and I will display those index cards or sticky notes. These are ideas I have around a cut that I'm doing that's going to involve some photos and video. And you think you're going to remember all these great ideas you've had or you've come about, or you're, being inspired by other things. You won't. I guarantee you won't. And what happens when you sit around with a corkboard filled of images you love or hate for a week, and you look at them, not even deliberately, you just pass by them, and all of a sudden you realize that this empty frame, connects to this frame and connects to this frame, and these three images create a new image or create a new idea for a photo story. I mean, these things happen. The other thing is, in terms of putting these things out there, I mean, this is a kind of an inception in that this is a physical print ripped from a magazine, filtered back onto Instagram. But this idea of this physical piece of paper, which, I was just pushing myself to make a creative self-portrait that day using something from the analog world. And so playing with these things, seeing them around you, right? It's a very simple process. Lots of magic is going to happen and ideas are going to happen. And it doesn't have to be physical, an analog. It can be digital. And if it's going to be digital, man, make it organized and make it a place you go and you look through that visual Pinterest board every day or whatever it is. But to me, that's the key. What I want you to walk away with a little bit is an idea that there is value in finding creativity still in the physical world. So this, which I'll flip through and I'm going to show you, was part physical object, if you will, that is I'm going to share with you digitally, but also give you a link to download it. You can download this at KociStudios.com, which will be launched by this time. And it's, notes to myself on surviving a creative slump. This is something that Christina and I collaborated together on in creating and kind of coming together. And she really supported me through this. And it's just a call, a creative call, maybe a share, right? To make sure that you are out there constantly creating. Many of you already know that. Some of you that might just be starting out do not understand the importance of practice and practice and practice. Advice that seems so silly as to not take it seriously, but it is one of the most creative and mind-expanding things that you can do. And that really just flows into something I think Christina is definitely my inspiration when it comes to remaining teachable and always looking for new sources of inspiration. In fact, and it may seem a bit silly, but I fall down and you can see I'm pretty crazy when it comes to this, but I fall down the book rabbit hole, this kind of new agey looking for creativity, and How to Be an Artist by Jerry Saltz is a great book. I just stumbled upon. I crossed out How to Be a Human. This is a really, really great book. Books like Finding Your Artistic Voice, mining these for inspiration and what might be there. This is a great book. I mean, I've been at this for a while, but I'm not going to not look at a book called The Art of Noticing, because I always want to remain teachable. And our dog loves to eat books, but anyway, and this is part of the physicality, I think, that's important. But back to the point of remaining teachable. And always remember to be the beginner. It's always, no matter where you are in your career arc, if you constantly remain the beginner, you're always going to be on the creative edge. Hard work, not magic. It really is a lot of hard work to get where we are. To think that you can pull out a phone and tap on a screen and, create something, which you can, and there is power in that. And I'm not trying to take that power from you and the democratization of photography, which is one of the most amazing things to happen in my lifetime and in the arc of photographic history, no question. But to really, really get where you want to be and where your taste and your inspiration and your creativity and your technical prowess and your ability to see and understand light and go further down the rabbit hole than the next person, doing that hard work, that's what distinguishes you from the next person. That's what I believe. You're not an imposter, and it's okay. Those of you that have a certain level of confidence, to embrace that inner confidence, right? Usually we humbly keep it within, but it's okay to understand this idea of imposter syndrome, right? But the way you get over that is, you show up whether you want to or not, right? And you make new work, or you think of a new story, or you look back through some old photographs, which I never even knew the photograph on the screen that I had actually even captured any lightning. And here it was, right? But as the small print on every winning ticket says, you must be present to win. So a lot of it is really just showing up. And I think this is all, we promised a lot in this talk, marriage, wow, and life and happiness and all this stuff. But I like this title of Let Them Shine, because it has a lot to do as well with a marriage and relationships, especially when you're in a relationship that Christina and I competed with each other for a very long time, for 20 years, even though now we're on different courses. And I think that helps, or different categories of photography. I think that helps things. But the point of letting them shine is sometimes you have to just get guys, gals, everyone in a relationship. Sometimes just get in and shut up and let them drive. Literally take the back seat and let them shine. And I found that as a real key to success, not only in marriage, but also in photography, that there are other collaborators and peers and people that inspire you, that you can gain and garner creative energy from. So I think that's very important to understand. The other thing is you've got to get feedback. Christina talks about it a lot, about how we have negotiated the relationship about real, honest feedback with each other and how good it is. You must find someone who's going to be able to tell you the truth, to look you in your eyes. When I was working in photojournalism, one of the greatest photojournalists that I know, Dai Sugano at the San Jose Mercury News, would just look at me and go, dude, that's crap. And I needed that. And we all need that. We need a level of feedback. I think that's how helps us creatively grow. And get out, man. It sounds so easy, and it technically might be a little hard now, but even a small walk around the block, even looking at your garden or the plant that's growing on your windowsill a little differently and noticing how the light is falling on it, right? That's what I mean by getting out when you can, right? Even in these times. And the hard truth that there's no right place, right time. I'm always waiting for the right place, the right book, the right piece of inspiration, the right video like this, the right PDF. It's never coming. There's no magic. There's no great moment. I think that's all, for me, it is BS 90% of the time. But there is magic, and there is amazing things that happen that just blow your mind, right? That kind of those little fairy tale moments, but it's just about showing up. I didn't want to get out this day that I took this picture. I was creatively in a slump, but I said, let me go be inspired. Let me see how others shine. And I went to MoMA, I wasn't even all that inspired by what was happening there. And I was kind of in a slump, and I went and I sat and I had a coffee, and I just noticed this composition. And with the right lensing and the right timing, I pancake this. I'm 3 stories up, looking down, whatever, boom, and boom. And it was just the hard truth of showing up and being ready. You've got to be prepared. You've got to have the right tools. You've got to be prepared in understanding the things you must do, the things that kind of stir your soul, and follow those instincts, right? Follow your gut. There is no muse, there isn't, like I said, that magic bolt of lightning for most of us, right? Life is not an Instagram story, beautiful and everything's great, okay, and everything's beautiful and wonderful all the time. That's not the way photography or life works, right? And so you need to schedule it. You need to do the hard work. You need to think about it. You need to fall as far down the rabbit hole as you can. And as I end here, I just want to remind you, bloom where you're planted. Start even if you don't feel ready. Practice with reckless abandon. Take your luck as it comes. Be prepared. Silence the inner critic that says you're not good enough, you're not this, you're not that, you're whatever. Focus on what you want, not what you don't have. And zoom with your feet. I see a typo, but that's okay. Zoom with your feet and get close is a play and a riff and a stealing directly from, if your pictures aren't good enough, you're not close enough, which can have double meanings. It could have a technical meaning, which I do think has power, but it also means about how close you are to your subjects. And I would add a third. It also means about how passionate you are about what you want to do. So if you're not feeding your eyes and mastering your tools, you're doing it wrong. It's that simple. So thank you. Again, you can find this PDF on KociStudios.com.
Thank you so much for tuning in and trying to get some creativity here. We're feeling you. Man, it's been crazy. I was a photojournalist at the San Francisco Chronicle for 15 years and decided to leave the paper. I saw the writing on the wall that newspapers were going to be changing and not have the budget, and I knew I didn't want to be the last one off the Titanic, and getting off and starting my own business was going to be the right choice for me. So that was about 10 years ago in the recession. I think it was 2009. And it was a powerful time to start a business because it was so challenging, kind of like today. And so I kind of feel like, I don't know, it's given me a lot of confidence because I was able to transition from a weekly paycheck to starting a brand new business on my own during a dark recession, and somehow I did it through a lot of hustling and more business and more networking than photography for sure. If anybody is starting their own business, and anybody who considers themselves a freelancer or starting your own, portrait studio, wedding business, I really recommend starting to study business, the business of photography. And it doesn't have to be super niche. You can just try to listen to an audiobook once a week on business, on sales. And you might not love it all, but there are going to be sparks in there, tidbits that you will really appreciate and will help you build and grow your business and staying creative. Because if you have your business built, you really can then really concentrate on the creativity. I really like Creative Live to look for business courses and photography courses, as well as I say they have the best business photography studios there. And then you can, look around for inspiration and just try to humble yourself, like looking where I am now in my photography versus where I was as a photojournalist. There are so many different kinds of lighting that I didn't even know existed and wasn't versed in as a photojournalist. So, man, I have grown so much because of this profession of wedding photography and portrait photography. And I decided to have two distinct websites, one for wedding clients and engagement clients, because those people don't care about family portraits. That would really dilute the website. And then I have a separate family portrait website, just focusing on family portraits, including newborn and maternity, and some high school seniors. So those two distinct websites will give you information about how to look at those later in the day, in the slides. But I just kind of wanted to show you kind of how I try to keep my creativity alive in my wedding work and in my portrait work. So let's see what we have. So my business is Nightingale Photography. Like I said, I started about 9 years ago, and I love it. I used to think like, oh, I'm just going to do weddings for, the money or to get me by. No, 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 no. I fully, fully embraced it. And I love weddings. I love weddings. And it took a long time to feel like I know what I'm doing, that I can show up at a wedding and actually have the confidence and not question myself all the time, because you're doing a lot of direction at weddings. And boy, your clients are looking at you for confidence and direction, and you have to think on your toes. You also have to set up all these portraits, right? Like I used to think, oh, I'll do wedding photography and all this stuff will just happen in front of me. I'll just let stuff happen. No, that does not work. My goal is to set up a situation that is really amenable to a moment. So for instance, this was in an old cafe in San Francisco. Loved the red stools, and I wanted that little moment, something kind of quirky, something different. And, just being ready for those moments that you guys all understand. Looking for light, waiting for moments once again. And also, like I keep reiterating, you're going to have to set stuff up. This does not happen right away. So part of creativity is also like, how can you communicate something in 3 minutes? Because you might have just 3 minutes to get people to do something, and they don't usually do what you ask them to do, but there's usually a fun moment in between. Setting up moments is also an interesting idea, with the anticipation that there's going to be an authentic moment in there. So in wedding photography, we'll also often do something called a first look. So couples who want to do couples portraits prior to the ceremony, a really emotional, wonderful thing you can do with them prior to the ceremony is have them see each other in their wedding garb for the first time. And it's kind of a fun, obviously a very emotional moment. And once again, you're setting them up in great light. You're setting them up with a clean background and anticipating that moment. There's a lot of creativity with that, having that opportunity, and pushing yourself to see what kind of moments you can help create for their forever memories. Now, I'll have to say, I gotta admit, man, family pictures to me were the absolute most challenging to master. It took me so long, at least 9 years, to feel confident about them. How to deal with kids, lighting, moments, parents who didn't want to be there. Oh my God. If you ever want to feel humbled, try to do a family session, y'all. I highly recommend it. And then not only do you have to think about your background, your light, how you are interacting with the family to make sure everybody feels really comfortable and that they look amazing. Have to think of how to help people create moments. So you play games with the family, you try to get everybody to warm up. I'm telling you, it is humbling and very rewarding. Just tiny little fun moments like this. I love that I have clients that don't demand that everybody look in the camera, that there can be sweet moments like that. Beautiful locations, finding the right light, asking a family to trust you, getting people to do the funky chicken behind me, finding the right lens, asking people to show up in good outfits is super important. This is another place I hike with my dogs. And this is another case where you are thinking of how to create a moment, right? Like first is show up in good clothes. Second, you're going to find an amazing location. Third, now you have to choreograph and see what the family will do. Sometimes families are not into this, but I'm hoping by showing the pictures I want people to want, this will foster more families like this to party with me. This was cute. The little boy on the left started telling everybody to be quiet because the baby little girl was sleeping, and then the dad mimicked him for a fun portrait. This, once again, I didn't have this sophisticated ability when I was a photojournalist to see this kind of light. I really learned about this kind of light from all the courses I took online. You can look at YouTube, you can look at Creative Live, you can look at Moms Who Click. And then you can play with it. So once you start mastering composition, light, communicating with clients about wardrobe, what they can expect, then you're going to be kind of orchestrating moments to be able to happen, setting people up so things do happen like this. Let's talk about creativity and marriage and how to stay married and creative. Ha ha, not always easy, but a fun and rewarding journey, that is for sure. I would say, I think being supportive of people, being supportive of your partner for trying new things is so important. The more critical we are, the more our partner doesn't want to explore and grow. And we all know the more exploring and failing we do, the more growth we experience. So I think just saying yes all the time, yes, you should try that, can be a real powerful way to be supportive and foster creativity. Listening to new ideas is really important. I'm sure we all have plenty of opinions that we might want that person to know. And I think half the battle is say nothing. Really, it's not all about, you really don't need to say that. Sometimes just forcing myself to pause before saying something can be very important. Unless something's on fire, maybe I don't need to comment. Maybe I just need to listen. And that's a great thing for me to hear all the time and practice. Working together and really complimenting each other in their approach to their style of photography can be really great. I also think it is super helpful that Richard and I actually now have different kinds of photography we pursue. Richard still does a lot of street photography. And as you know, I do a lot of portrait and wedding photography. So they're two different worlds. And that can be helpful because we're both exploring different terrain, creativity-wise, creatively. And it's nice to be in two different worlds, to let that other person have their own separate world and then come together and help each other out. Also, remaining humble. To remain teachable all the time, to know that if my partner doesn't like something, it's I am not being rejected. It means that just didn't work out. That's okay. It is really okay. I don't have it all, and there's so much room to grow. So to stay humble, to stay teachable, to recognize you don't know it all, your partner might have a good point. And at that point, if your partner can gently be truthful, you can start trusting their opinion, right? And knowing that when they do love something, that it's honest. They really do love that. So it's a balancing act. It's worth it. And thank you for listening.
And here is a wonderful, grateful thank you from both Christina and myself for watching this and listening to what we have to say. So thank you and take care.